Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Um, I want to do something a little different today, something a little lighter, because that last one was a little heavy about the tragedy about the helicopter crash in New York. So I want to do something just a little bit different, but just as important to the going on right now currently. And I just want to say thank you for all who's watched my video, and I've posted them on TikTok and Instagram and here on YouTube and everything like that. So for anybody who sat there and watched the clip and liked it, thank you very much. I guess I'm still a YouTuber and I'm still learning, so I have to remember to say like, share, subscribe if you like the content, and just thank you. And I hope that we can continue to grow. I hope you can grow with me because I'm growing. I'm still learning things. I'm still nervous on this. I like to talk and I like to do this. I really enjoy finding information and coming and bringing it together and all this other stuff. But I'm still new at this myself. I don't know how many times I had to do so many takes to try to get that one take, and it probably will be on this one too. But yeah, so just thank you very much, and I hope we continue this together. I hope to stay consistent and produce many more videos with ya. So today I wanted to talk about Target. I don't know if anybody has been watching or been noticing, but Target hasn't been hitting the same way like it used to. And what I mean by that is that their sales, they've been tanking. People haven't been going. But why, right? It's Target. We all love Target, right? Why is Target sales down the toilet? Well, that's what I want to discuss today. And I feel like this is going to be a very long one. So stick with me here because I have a lot of information to get through. And once again, I got my trusty notebook. I don't know how these people be doing it and remembering things off the top of the dome. I'm not like that. This is why I make sure that I write down all my information so I can go back. So if you see me glaring down, chances are because I have all my information right here. I'm gonna tell you right now, going forward, you'll definitely always see this book or any type of book when I fill this up with me so I can go back and refer to my notes with you. And I hope you don't mind that because you probably don't mind that, right? As long as the information is accurate, I don't think you really care too much, but always gonna have my trusty notebook on me. So let's begin. Since Donald Trump has became president, because it always starts with the top, right? Obviously, right? Ever since Donald Trump became president, he has basically started a war on all things DEI, right? DEI this, DEI that, DEI. They hired because of DEI. They're this, they're not. They're not qualified. It's illegal. It's immoral. It's its own version of discrimination. And now companies are being pressured to, because he has eliminated DEI in terms of uh federal contracts and government and stuff like that, right? So now it's also trickling down to companies themselves, and they're feeling the pressure. Sure, they're feeling the pressure to want to conform to such changes, and one of them, or Target, and it is a bunch of them. It's Target, it's Walmart, it's McDonald's. It's a bunch of companies decide to roll back on these initiatives, right? Days after Donald Trump became president, Target decided to scale back its DEI initiatives. Excuse me. On January 24th, like I said, days before, with the new regime coming in, Target ends their DEI programs, removing hiring goals for minorities, as well as adding focus on racial injustice and other changes that focus on diversity. But before I even go further into the information, I figured it'd just be easy to just describe what is DEI real quick, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I like as much as I've been hearing it, it's right, it's diversity, it's equity, and it's inclusion. But what exactly is that? Because I actually haven't really heard it to like for honestly to recently, right? And I'm pretty sure some of you haven't actually heard that acronym either. I remember affirmative action, right? But apparently it's two different things. And I used to think they were actually the same thing. So I actually wrote down in my notes, here we go again. I wrote it down specifically so I'll be able to actually explain to you what is DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, right? And what I remember growing up and learning about, especially with the civil rights and everything of affirmative action. So let's get into our notes. Stay with me, people. All right. What is DEI and how some people might have it confused with affirmative action? So DEI is an acronym consisting of diversity, right? Having a place of variety of different backgrounds, including race, ethnicity, gender, age, sexual orientation, disabilities, religion, right? So basically just everybody, right? From different places, different backgrounds, different situations. Equity, that everybody from those backgrounds are fairly treated equally, right? To have fairly treated equally to access of opportunities. Sorry, I'm looking at my stuff, but yeah, fairly given access. People from all backgrounds in all situations are given fair treatment to opportunities, right? And inclusion, to have a workplace where all feel welcome, valued, respected, and empowered. Now, that's pretty much what it is. Making sure that everybody feels included, everybody feels welcome, everybody has a chance to succeed and opportunities, right, to move up in companies. Everybody gets a chance. I don't see how that would be such a bad thing. But I digress. Now, what I learned in school, and I'm pretty sure some of you have heard, is affirmative action, right? Affirmative action was something that was implemented right around the time of the civil rights, right? The civil rights era, the Civil Rights Act, 1964 and all that stuff. It was an executive order in 1965 by then President Lyndon B. Johnson to assure that people of all backgrounds, as I described with the DEI, do not get discriminated in the workplace, and everybody would have an equal opportunity to, be hired and stuff. The problem with that is, with affirmative action, is instead of it, because it literally probably could be just like DEI. The only problem where this feels, because it's been debate on whether or not affirmative action is racist within itself, right? Because affirmative action usually means, how it turned into was that companies would basically turn them into quotas, right? So instead of making sure that you have an abundance of people from different backgrounds and all this other stuff, in a sense, when you keep in mind as you're hiring people, affirmative action was pretty much, okay, we have this amount of black people, we have this amount of white people, but we're missing a couple Asians. Let's hire 5 Asians, right, on the spot, to make sure that we feel and we look like we are inclusive and we're diverse, right? That's, in a sense, you're only hiring them based off their race or based off their situation. Oh, we don't have any people who are disabled. Let's make sure by the end of this hiring event or this hiring session, we're going to hire somebody who maybe is in a wheelchair or have a certain type of mental, it's basically a quota. You're not hiring them based off the fact. It's mainly due to the fact that these people, it may or may not even be qualified, right? And that's literally in the news, right? Where people think, oh, DEI, they're not qualified, you only hire. No. DEI only means that you make sure that the space is there for everyone and that you do have an abundance of people from different places, but you are still hiring qualified people from different backgrounds. not just straight up hiring them because they're of a certain type that you need to fill a certain amount so your company looks diverse. And in fact, it became like that too because the government, federal contractors would specifically, right, they would get money, right, grants from the government if they hired a certain amount of different people, right? If they hired a certain amount of black people or this, that, they were getting money. So that's kind of a little bit difference between DEI and affirmative action, just to let you know. I figured it's easier to explain what's going on to understand, because I know a lot of people probably don't even really, and it's no fault of their own. Sometimes, again, I'm just now learning DEI. This is new to me that it's popping up everywhere we go now. So back to Target. Target stressed, apparently to them, Target stressed that they needed to stay in step with the evolving times of the landscape of everything going on right now with whole Donald Trump and DEI. So they feel like they need to go with the times, right? They have to go with the times. They have a strategy that apparently they had last year that they implemented, and now that's going to take over in a sense for the DEI initiatives that they have. It's called belonging at the bullseye. So just to quote that's about, right? We remain focused on driving our business by creating a sense of a belonging for our team, guests, and communities through a commitment to inclusion, Target said. Belonging for all of us is an essential part of our team and culture, helping fuel consumer relevance and business results. I don't see any reason why you would have to, I don't see why we couldn't have both, right? I don't see why the DEI initiatives had to go, but sure, if you still think you're committing to inclusion and all that stuff in communities and everything, sure, if you would think, right? And it's funny enough that Target, they're usually was the main champion when it comes to like civil issues and they're really real progressive, you would say, right? Just to give you a few examples of how, they were strong on DEI. So I'm gonna give you a few examples right here. So pretty much after George Floyd's death, right? The CEO personally said that it affected him, right? It personally affected him, that George Floyd could have been easily just been one of the members of Target. And it personally affected him, right? And that after that, they were going to pledge, right, for the Black cause. They're going to pledge to jump the workforce from Target up to 20%. Then they have created an executive and racial equality, including an executive racial equity and change committee to focus on specifically on having a lasting impact for Black employees and customers. Target also pledged to spend more than $2 million to Black-owned businesses by the end of this year, 2025, right? Including adding more products from Black-owned vendors to stores, and pledged $100 million to support Black-led nonprofits and provide scholarships to students attending them. Attending them. I don't even know, my handwriting is bad when I'm trying to write my notes. Attending scholarships to students attending HBCUs, historical Black colleges, we don't know really. Target also was honored for outstanding commitments to DEI to achieving diversity, equity, and inclusion in 2022 by the Executive Leadership Council, which is a prominent organization of global Black CEOs. The Target CEO accepted the award on behalf of Target in a star-studded gala. Ain't that nice? Ain't that nice? Now, it's funny, as of recently, they were going to meet the goals. They were going to meet their goals, the workforce goals, as well as the commitment to bringing more Black suppliers to their stores. right? Contacting more black suppliers to make sure that those products get into their stores. Yeah. Then obviously with, keeping with the landscape, Target is further evaluating corporate partnerships and changing diversity supplier team. Instead of bringing black suppliers in now, they're going to change to a supplier engagement where now, broadly speaking, they're going to, instead of targeting black suppliers, now they're going to just go for suppliers without any specific regards to race. Now, most people are like, oh, what's wrong? What will be wrong with that? And you would think nothing would be wrong with that, but until you realize if there was nothing wrong with the idea of having, except the fact that you've already committed towards having more black suppliers and vendors. My only issue with that is, and I could be wrong, it's just an opinion, is that it kind of feels like if you now no longer have to worry about specific regard to race, or what is it, rate? Yeah, specific regards to race, those black suppliers that possibly could have had an opportunity now that you are focusing on it, chances are probably won't. Not to say that they will, but not to say that, but I feel like there was a greater emphasis now, and that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And maybe there's a chance that maybe they don't, right? Oh, we're just not, we're gonna specific towards race. But at the same time, the possible people that could have probably is not gonna get their stuff in stores. This is my opinion. I could be wrong, but it kind of feels like erasure, And because of all these rollbacks, right, they suffered major losses. Like literally, this is days into the presidency in January, and by February, their stuff dropped by like 9%, right? Dropped by like 9%. And then on top of that, to even further, there's an organization called the People's Union USA. They started or organized an economic blackout on February 28th. Black History Month. Just it's on the day, but just Black History Month in general. That's cool. Not trying to be biased, but yay, whatever. They decided to organize an economic blackout, and it's been killing them. And in March, they bounced back a little bit. It went from like it was a 6%, and I believe they actually they lost. It's like about 12, if I'm not mistaken, in this thing going on, $12 billion in losses in just this alone, right? Corporations, stockholders, they don't like to lose their money. This is bad, right? The foot traffic is gone, right? Because think about it. They rely on all of us, right, to go to Target. Targets are everywhere, right? It's kind of hard not to run into a Target. And it's kind of hard not to go into a Target and come out with something that you didn't even come there for. Anytime you walking out with fucking, excuse me, I'm gonna try my best not to curse. I didn't do it in the last one. I'm gonna try to keep that. But you'll walk out with towels. You'll walk out with a living room set. You'll come in and get some electronic. Like Target is built where you're walking with something that you thought you needed and walk out with stuff that you needed, and then come out with stuff that you didn't think you needed, but you end up needing it when you leave there. So they rely on us to come through the foot traffic and come in there and buy stuff. Target is perfectly set up that way. And now people ain't going in there. And then if people are going in there, specifically minority or you're black, people are only going for the black-owned products that's in there. Because you can't stop people from shopping at Target, and most people get their supplies from Target. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong for shopping at Target. It's none of my business. But what I will say is that it's amazing how much people could come together for a cause and how things can turn around. Imagine what we could do on a global scale if we came together on such a thing. But that's that's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother discussion. But it's amazing what we can do when we come together and we universally agree, nah, we ain't about that. And it's funny enough, the organization is planning on doing another blackout around June, set between June 3rd and June 9th. Now, the People's Union USA, apparently it was formed for Americans to take back power from politicians and corporations. Its founder, John Swartz, on the website, if you can go to their website, he's not a politician. He's not a corporate back activist. He's just a man. He's just a man who saw everything that's going on and decided to do something about it. Who says one person can't make a difference, right? Oh, boy. What? So what's Target going to do, right? What they going to do? How are they going to try to remedy the situation? Now, apparently they've been trying to backtrack. They've been trying to backtrack on what they've been saying because they realize, oh, we kind of made a mistake here. But now, people not going for it. Now we know it's fake. Now the only reason why you didn't realize that you made a mistake. No. You're losing money and now you want us back. It's fake. It's fake. So what does Mr. Cornell, the Target CEO, do? Well, you go to a civil rights activist in Rev Al Sharpton. You know what I mean? You go to him, right? Because civil rights activists has been pushed up against this too, with all these DEI initiatives just going away. All these pledges is going away. So what do you think that the civil rights activists, all right, fine. They got their peoples, and they got to tell people, don't shop there. So not only do you have the People's USA organization doing an economic blackout, you also have civil rights activists saying, hey, telling their people, we're not doing this. We're boycotting. You're not shopping at Target. And guess what? It worked. So Mr. Cornell had to reach out to Mr. Rev Al Sharpton to see what we can discuss. Because apparently his peoples, right, telling his peoples, we're not shopping at Target. It worked, and now we got to figure out a discussion. What can we do now to make things right? Now, Mr. Rev Al Sharpton has said, described the conversation as constructive and candid. He said he will inform his allies, and we will see from there. Basically, bro, maybe we feel like, maybe if you show us something, then maybe, I tell my people to back off, right? But this is what happens when corporations, when they don't screw the people. Capitalism, I get it. In most cases, it's not for the people, right? I'm not even I was a business management major, and they teach a little about economics, but for the most part, capitalism is usually not in the favor of the people. But I'll tell you one thing, we do have power. They need us. They need us more than we need them. Just this a couple months alone, they lost billions of dollars, and you have the Target CEO running to Al Sharpton to try to see if he can remedy and fix the situation. Especially the minority dollar, the black dollar. We loyal to who's loyal to us. And if you're not treating us right, we'll leave. You know who did well and whose business is flourishing and their sales are going up? Costco. You want to know why Costco is going up? Because instead of succumbing to the pressures of our president for people to get rid of DEI, they doubled down and said, nah, we good. And guess where the people are going? You know how hard it is to get to a Costco? Costco is usually on the outskirts of somewhere. It don't matter what city. It's on the outskirts. Targets is usually in the middle of busy streets and cities and stuff like that. You're always going to be able to run into a Target wherever you go. But a Costco, you actually have to go out and seek it. And people are willing to go and go to Costco than to actually go to Target. And their sales are booming. I'll leave you with this because I realize this video is getting a lot longer than I thought it would be. I'll leave you with this. Mr. Cornell in 2023 said this. He defended DEI. Funny enough, right? Go with the changing times, right? But he defended it in 2023. Cornell defends Target's bold commitments to DEI, saying they helping Target's business that focus on diversity and inclusions and equity has fueled much of our growth, he said. The thing we've done from a DEI standpoint, it's adding value. It's helping us drive sales. It's building a great engagement with, my handwriting is bad. Engagement or growth of our teams and our guests. And those are just the right things for our business today. You're right about that, because before you decided to scale back and then now trying to roll it back, your sales is booming. Can't exactly feel bad for a corporation. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to feel bad for a corporation. You went back on the thing that made you successful. And now people don't want to go there. And now you're crawling to civil rights activists to try to see, what can we do? What you should have done is stood where you were. Because now you come across as hypocritical. Now you come across as fake. And the one thing people love, people respect, is genuine authenticity. I'll leave you with that. Until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.